If it's Tuesday, that means the Apex Energy Cup Series racing from the Slingshot Racing League. Welcome, everybody. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth tonight by Chris Smith. Tonight, we're bringing you live racing action in the ARCA cars, these new high-horsepower Gen 4 Cup cars from somewhere a little bit different, the Red Bull Ring in Austria for the Sim Racing Tech Grand Prix. The Red Bull Ring, originally called the Österreich Ring, was built in 1969 after the original home of the Austrian Grand Prix was deemed too bumpy by the FIA officials after it damaged the suspension in so many cars. The ring is known for its massive elevation changes and high speeds, which inherently mean danger. After the deaths of several drivers, including Mark Donohue, parts of the track were reconfigured in the early 70s to slow down the cars for the 2 decades of the Austrian Grand Prix to come. The track lay dormant between 1997 and 2011, but was purchased by Red Bull, renovated, and reconfigured slightly to what it is now, maintaining much of the same charm of the early Österreich Ring. Chris, the Red Bull Ring's mixture of long straights and technical medium speed sections call for a compromise setup that's not going to be perfect in every single corner of the track. These drivers, they're going to have to balance being comfortable in some parts of the track while being incredibly uncomfortable in others. How challenging is that to a driver, and how likely might this be to lead to a mistake?
Well, you said it perfect. This is a track that is full of compromise. You've got long straightaways and then tight hairpin turns in several parts of the track. And so, like you said, the setup is all about compromise. There's 213 feet of elevation change, and you're going to see instances tonight where people are uphill into braking zones and then they're downhill in other braking zones. That's extremely challenging for drivers, and you mentioned the horsepower difference as well. There is a lot more horsepower in these cars now, and this is our first road course race of the season, and just this is our very first points race with these high horsepower cars. So these drivers are going to be in for a little bit of uncertainty tonight. There are no cautions tonight, 37 race laps, 3 sets of tires, including the one that they start with. The fuel window is about, it says lap 100 here, but it is actually about 37, I'm sorry, not 37 laps. I don't have that number right in front of me. I think it's actually 19 to
21 laps, somewhere in between there.
19 to 21 laps. This is a really, really slick track with a lot of horsepower, and so these guys are going to be struggling quite a bit. Pit strategy is going to come into play. Are people possibly going to run this race backwards? Are they going to try to pit once they get in their fuel window to where they can make it to the end? We'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely. We've got plenty of storylines to talk about here shortly, but we do have a pre-race tradition in Slingshot Racing. We're going to roll the national anthem and take a quick break, and we'll be back as qualifying is underway for the Sim Racing Tech Grand Prix of Austria. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We are at Austria at the Red Bull Ring for the 8th race of the Apex Energy Cup Series season, our first road course race of the year. And like Chris mentioned earlier, this is our first regular season points paying race using this new high horsepower Gen 4 Cup car model that iRacing released after kind of a mistake with their most recent big update. So right now we are about 5 minutes into a 10-minute qualifying session. Drivers are allowed 2 laps to see how quick they can take the car around the Red Bull Ring. While they're doing that, though, we've got a couple stories we would like to discuss and kind of give the viewers a little bit of context for how this race might go and what we should be looking forward to over the course of these 37 laps here tonight. We got some stories we're going to be keeping an eye on. And the first one that we're going to be keeping an eye on, Chris mentioned it earlier, tires. So we've heard drivers talking all week about just after a couple of laps into a run, these tires really start to fall off. And that becomes really complicated when there are no cautions tonight, local yellows only. So drivers are really going to have to take care of their stuff unless they might tempt fate. Chris, does anyone try to make this a 2-stop race?
Oh yeah, I think that is definitely a possibility. You can do it, and I think that's what probably everybody's going to do since they've only got 2 sets of tires sitting in the pits. The fuel window sits at about 19 to 21 laps roughly. I'm not sure about like how hard people are going to push it with the tire situation being what it is. We know that these guys are really going to probably be mindful of not lighting those rear tires up and chirping them on corner exit. So you want to try to treat that throttle pedal like it's got an egg between it and your foot, just to make sure that you keep those tires under you for a long run. I'm not sure. The more that I think about it, and math is not really in my strong suit, as you know.
We're both history teachers.
Yeah, I said a 2-stop. This very well could be a 1-stop. I don't know why I was thinking 2-stop, but yeah, it's I think that I guess it just depends on the pace and how everything's going. If you're as fast as this guy is right here, you probably feel like you can do about whatever you want to do.
Absolutely. We watched Aaron Smith go around and take his qualifying laps around the track. Aaron from Hollywood, South Carolina, earned the nickname Hollywood last season from our broadcasters. Aaron has dominated this season so far, and tonight he is on pace to bring home a strong finish. But Chris, anything can happen. It's a slick, hot track with high horsepower, and even drivers like Aaron are still coming to grips, no pun intended, with this new car. We saw last week in our All-Star race, Aaron struggled a little bit back towards the back of the pack. When he was in traffic, he did have some issues, and that's always a possibility, getting involved in other drivers' mistakes. So he's going to be on the lookout for that tonight. But Aaron is our points leader right now, and he is looking to claim his 6th win of the season and extend his points lead. But he's got other guys like Randy Bechtel and Scott Sobczak who want to have something to say about that tonight. Both of these guys are fast. Randy sets the 4th fastest lap in qualifying right now. Scott Sobczak, a little bit uncharacteristically slower than normal, is in 6th, setting the 6th fastest lap. He's usually right at the top of the charts, but that is not the case this week. So Scott's struggling and maybe a little bit in that 81 Ford Taurus with his normal speed tonight. So we'll be keeping an eye on him as he takes that Square D car around the track here at the Red Bull Ring. Some other stories we're going to be keeping an eye on, though. Elevation change. We had mentioned that in our conversations before the race, Chris, just a little bit. These elevation changes, it is quite a bit. I can't remember the exact number if you remember off the top of your head, but
it's 213 feet.
I knew it was a couple hundred feet. And when we look at tracks, this particular track, where that really plays a factor is, I think on this particular track, between turn 3 and 4. That is a downhill slide into turn 4, high, heavy braking zone. If we're looking where drivers might overshoot the corner, turn 4 is probably at the top of our list tonight, right?
Yeah, definitely, because I turned a lot of laps here last week, and that was a spot where I struggled more than any other, because you have a couple of brake zones that are uphill elevation, and that corner specifically is a downhill, a major downhill elevation change. Requires you to be a little bit a little bit firmer with the brakes to make sure that you can make that corner, but you also run the risk of locking up those front tires depending on how much front brake that you have in it. So you want to try to avoid that. You want to try to make sure that you keep your front tires under you along with your rear tires. So I'm looking at turn 4 tonight. I'm looking at a lot of turns. This is a difficult track with some long corners followed by some some long straights followed by some really tight corners. So should be interesting.
Absolutely. We've seen drivers having trouble between turn 6 and 7, kind of the short shoot, high kind of sweeping corners where drivers are trying to carry as much speed as possible. Cars can get out from underneath them in a real hurry, as we have just about a minute left in qualifying. Last thing we'll talk about in kind of the race stories here is passing zones. Not every turn is going to be a turn that drivers want to try to initiate a pass. I would imagine down into turn 1, heavy braking right-hander might be an opportunity for some guys to take advantage of their late braking skills. Maybe into turn 3 as well. And any other spots we might be able to look out for?
There's going to be. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I'm going to be paying really close attention to that turn 6 and 7 complex. There's a short little chute that's between the turn 6 and turn 7. Hard left-handers in both of those. So I'll be looking to see if how our guys navigate around those corners. We got one of our drivers, Chase Berry, in the chat saying we in trouble, and I'm assuming the car don't turn left. Yeah, so it's going to be difficult. Those left-handers are going to be hard, and Chase did not get a fast lap in qualifying, so he'll be coming from the rear of the field. And as our drivers come to the starting grid, we'll go ahead and take a look and see how everybody lines up. Starting on the pole tonight, in dominating fashion as he has all year, Aaron Smith, driver of the number 1 Chevrolet, with a fast time of 134.079. Chris Pierce qualified second at a 135.215. So Chris Pierce is going to be looking to see if he can move up through the field tonight, as my broadcast partner Ellis Thomas had a little bit of computer issue. So we're going to go through the rest of the starting grid here. Starting in third tonight, a newcomer to the Apex Energy Cup Series, we got Nick DeCesare in that 23 Stacker 2 Dodge. Nick is a really good road course racer, so we'll see how he does tonight alongside Randy Bechtel. Starting on the inside of row 3, we got Johnny Rapp, and on the outside, Scott Sobzak. Starting in 7th tonight, we got Tony Hilbrins, followed by Rye Jones flanking him on his outside. Austin Greer starting 9th. Yeah, I got you, Ellis.
So sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties. Just to fill back in the grid, I believe we had Rye Jones in 8th, Austin Greer in 9th, Brady Powers in 10th place, Lee Campbell in that Sonic the Hedgehog car starting inside of the 6th row and 11th, joined by Monty Sprague, who's driving that number 3 car, fan of the Intimidator, Monty from Iowa, looking to see if he can have a good run tonight. Chase Berry starting 13th, and then Chris Blassie starting outside in 15th as we get ready to take the green flag here. Of course, my camera's not quite caught up, so I might need you to call the first lap or so.
Sure, as Aaron Smith and Chris Pierce lead them down this front stretch here and up the hill into turn 1. Aaron Smith's going to get a nice jump, and he's going to get ahead of Chris Pierce. See if everybody gets through this turn nice and smooth, and it looks like possibly we had a very clean first corner there as Aaron Smith, Chris Pierce, and Randy Bechtel look to pull away from this side-by-side battle for 4th between Sobzak and DeCesare. Oh no, Brady Powers! Brady's going to get it turned around. He's got a little bit of nose damage, but I think he's going to be okay. See if we can go back and take a look and see what happened to Brady. And it looks like he and Tony Hilbrunz came together there, as Tony was trying to move over for the brake zone, and Brady was on his left side. As up at the front, Aaron Smith, Chris Pierce, Randy Bechtel, 1, 2, 3. Out in front of this field by just a little bit, about a 1.5 second gap between the three of them. And in fourth place, I was mentioning during the starting grid, a newcomer to the Apex Energy Cup Series, a good road course racer, Nick DeCesare. He is running in the fourth spot, followed by Ryan Jones just behind him. Pretty clean first lap. I hate that Brady Powers had the trouble that he had, but and it looks like we might have had another incident possibly. See if we can go back and see what happened to Tony Hilbrunz here.
Brady's a driver who's gotten a lot more comfortable in this car the past several weeks, so he just continues to get faster and faster. So I hate to see him out a little bit with trouble early at night. Tony Hilbrunz, yeah,
he had a little bit of a loose situation there. I think Monty Sprague also had a little bit of an off-track excursion here. We'll go back and take a look at Monty. Yeah, he's got off into the sand just a little bit there. Oh, Lee Campbell had his troubles just in front of him. Oh, it looks like Lee was braking a little bit earlier than Monty wanted to, and oh, Monty had all kinds of trouble trying to slow down for the brake zone.
Yeah, he just completely overshot that, it looked like, and there was because Lee maybe slowing down a little bit earlier, Monty just overshooting it. Those two come together, and lots of trouble early on as we are just on lap 2 of 37 right now, and I think we've already had several cars involved in incidents. But out front, as we kind of expected, Aaron Smith is your leader with Chris Pierce in second. Both of those guys have shown a lot of speed in practice, but Chris Pierce not really getting away, or Aaron Smith not getting away from Chris Pierce right now. How much of that is Aaron saving his stuff, maybe?
It could be a little bit, but, you know, we obviously saw the raw speed that Aaron had. So Aaron might be trying to just keep the tires underneath him. You know, we know how you know, you've got to be really smooth on the throttle here. And so he might be trying to look after those rear tires, not wanting to light them up. But don't sell Chris Pierce short. We know how good Chris Pierce is on road courses. We raced with him on Team Slingshot in the 24 Hours of Daytona. So we know that Chris knows how to get around these road courses, and I'm not a bit surprised to see him running as well as he's running tonight.
Absolutely. He's a good little road course racer. There's a lot of these guys out here right now are really good road course racers. Obviously, Aaron Smith good on ovals as well, but Chris Pierce, Nick DeCesare, just like we mentioned. Chase Berry, really good on road courses. He's up several spots right now after starting in 13th. Chase is up to the 8th spot, picking up 5 spots. As we look at those cars in that battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, headed down into, I'm not sure what corner that is. I think we're probably somewhere around turn 4. I think we're coming 4.
Yeah, this is turn 4 right here. This is the one that gave me all kinds of trouble when I was trying to, you know, see what the setup was gonna be like for these cars tonight. That corner is tough because it is a long straightaway, like a lot of the straightaways, but it's not an uphill corner like some of the other hairpins after long straightaways. It is a downhill corner, and so it is very, very tricky to get through there. At least it was for me. These guys are doing a lot better job than I was.
Absolutely. And Chase Berry with a little bit of extra wind under his sails tonight. He is our all-star winner from last week. Took home a cool $70 for that victory. And he's got a knack for winning these exhibition races after winning the preseason clash as well as that all-star race last week. He'd like to channel that into a victory in a regular season points-paying race, I would imagine. So we'll see if Chase Berry can capitalize on this early success he's had in this race, picking up 5 or 6 spots as we see him get by Johnny Rapp here on the front stretch at the Red Bull Ring. We are 4 laps into the Austrian Grand Prix, presented by Sim Racing Tech and Slingshot Racing League, as we watch on-track action right now between Scott Sobczak and Rye Jones. I'm working on getting my timing screen up, so I'm not quite sure. Looks like this is a battle for 4th and 5th position.
5th and 6th.
5th and 6th, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. And, you know, we saw Scott Sobczak didn't quite have the speed. You know, we're used to seeing Scott challenge for poles week in and week out. So, you know, qualifying where he qualified at, he didn't do bad in qualifying by any means. But, you know, we're used to seeing him up at the front as it's like Rye goes a little bit wide. Don't think he's going to fight too hard here. And Scott's going to, oh, I spoke too soon. He's going to try to battle back here. He's got the line into this next corner.
Scott not giving up. He's not an easy guy to pass. Rye Jones is going to get the better of him there as they head down into the sweeping corner through this series of kind of high-speed sweepers.
Yeah, that was the 6 and 7 complex right there. And that one right there is also tricky. You know, this track is mostly right-hand corners. The car is set up to get around right-hand corners a little bit better. We saw Chase Berry mention that this thing doesn't want to turn very well through the left-handers. That's something that I felt as well in my time with the setup. So not at all surprised to see that or to hear that, but you know, this track is all about compromises. You know, stock cars in general.
Overshoot the corner just a little bit here. A lot of smoke coming out as we see Sobczak trying to line up that pass maybe as they head down into turn 3.
And this has brought Chase Berry into this battle here.
He's right there in 7th place. Chase looking to pick up maybe even 2 spots here as all 3 of these drivers make it through that corner pretty cleanly. You can see just how close Scott Sobczak gets to the back of that 7 car of Rye Jones. These guys, you can throw a blanket over them right now as they head down one of these long straightaways into another right-hander. Right now at the top, we're on lap 5 out of 37. Aaron Smith is your leader. Chris Pierce trailing in second by about 4 seconds. Randy Bechtel having a strong run after starting 4th. He's up to 3rd. Nick DeCesare, our ringer, in here tonight running 4th. Rye Jones, as we watch this battle right now, in 5th. Scott Sobczak chasing him along with Chase Berry. This is the tightest battle on track right now for 5th position. Sobczak just doing everything he can to try to size up this 7 car. And you kind of see them running slightly different approaches into each and every corner just a little bit. Rye Jones looks like he's pretty loose.
Yeah, he's got a lot of rear brake.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of rear brake dialed into that car, and you know, that's just different approaches. You know, maybe Scott doesn't quite have that much rear brake dialed into it. It's all about what you're comfortable with. There's not much that you can change on these cars with a fixed setup, but brake bias is probably the one thing, especially here on a road course, where you'll see some separation between driver setup.
Absolutely, and that's going to pay dividends the longer the run goes on, because as these cars start to tighten up a little bit, that might be something that happens a little bit later on into a run for Rye Jones. Right now, as we watch Johnny Rapp catch the back of this 3-car battle for the 5th position. Rapp wants to have something to say about that. Rapp, Johnny scored 2 wins in the Truck Series, but he has yet to score a Cup Series win. He would love to see that happen tonight, but he's going to have to get through these 5 or 6 cars in front of him if that is going to happen. But this is a really good battle we've got going on right now, and these guys are just fractions of a second off of each other through each of these sectors of the Red Bull Ring. Johnny, that classic, iconic Mission Barbecue orange and black car with those day glow green trim and numbers, car and truck that slingshot racers have come to recognize over the past couple of seasons. So he's having a good run for himself tonight. Austin Greer not having a bad run. He's sitting steady in 9th after starting there in that 45 Dale Jr. throwback paint scheme. He's having a good solid run, not known for being a road racer exactly, but he's doing pretty well for himself tonight. Brady Powers, as we mentioned earlier, having some trouble. But yeah, as we watch Austin Greer, sorry, I'm a little bit ahead, but Brady Powers has had a lot of speed the past several weeks. He had a good run at the All-Star race, and he's put together some complete races recently, Brady Powers, and that 22 car, doing a great job out there tonight. Tony Hilbrins, we saw also have trouble early on connecting with Brady Powers. First couple laps, Tony's doing a great job as our broadcaster for the Truck Series running on Wednesday nights. And he's running that purple, man. That purple and green combination, Chris, I've liked it since the start of the season. There's something about purple and neon green that just works together in a way you wouldn't expect. And Tony probably like to be having a better run for himself tonight. But he's doing good. He's looking good, at least, while he's running 11th place. Monty Sprague.
We had a battle for second. Sorry,
Oh,
looks
you're
like we
good.
had some. Looks like our second place runner, Chris Pierce, actually had some trouble. We're gonna go back and take a look at him. Under braking here,
Yep.
and it just goes for a slow slider right there, but he's able to get it going again fairly quickly. Randy
No
was
harm,
able
no
to
foul.
get by him, and yeah, he was able to get on by and keep on rolling there. And I want to say that was turn 4. That was the turn that I was. Yep, that was turn 4. That's been the toughest corner for me, and I think that Chris Pierce found out right there. Which I'm sure he already knew just how tough it is.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how he runs. This lap or so on those tires. I'm probably not too pleased with him. Probably a little bit angry after that spin. Chris Pierce in that white and blue 25 Pierce graphics. Chris does a great job with our graphics each week. Any graphic that you see on screen right now in some way, shape, or form was brought to you by Pierce Graphics and these overlays. If you run a league, if you're interested in having a polished look like this, at least we think it is, you can contact Chris. And he'll get you hooked up with some really nice looking graphics. Chris is a guy who is also, like we mentioned earlier with Brady Powers, he's really found some speed the past several weeks as we watch this battle heat up back in 5th, 6th, and 7th place, and even into 8th. We've seen Scott Sobczak fall back a little bit. Johnny Rapp also lost a couple positions. But Chase Berry, Chris, this is a guy I'm watching closely. He's not got lap speeds that are running, really close to Aaron Smith in the lead, but he's running consistent lap times, and he's actually up 8 positions on the race right now, just 8 laps in. So he's going to be a guy who's probably going to be charging to the top 3, pending he's not using up his stuff too early. We're about, I would imagine, 8 laps into what we said was going to be a 19 to 20 lap run. So we're approaching that halfway point where these drivers are probably going to start to be I'm watching Chris Pierce on the track right now. He's letting it all hang out. He's sliding sideways through some of these high-speed corners as we ride on board with Chase Berry in that yellow and black Toyota Camry.
Yeah, you mentioned Chris Pierce. Is it a situation where Chris maybe went a little bit too hard, on the opening laps? Has he maybe used up his stuff? We were talking about, you mentioned a 2-stopper, and I kind of had a brain fart, which isn't that unusual with me, but I don't know what it's a big mystery what the prevailing strategy is going to be tonight. I'm just assuming that everybody's going to try to stop one time, spend the least amount of time on pit road as possible, considering it's a 37 lap race and they can go at least 19 laps, possibly 21 laps, as this battle right here for 6 gets really, really close between Rye Jones, Johnny Rapp, and Scott Sobczak. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, once everybody feels like they're in that window, who's going to be the first one to bite.
Absolutely. We've got a couple guys in the chat, a couple folks in the chat, I should say. I think this might be Rhett Tucker. I'm not sure, though. He says these cars are having trouble turning left. He says these guys, he's seeing some guys that are going to be in trouble tonight, and I think I would second that. This is a hard car, a hard track, certainly a drive these cars at. We got a Scott Sobczak fan in the chat right now, rooting for Scott as he looks to see if he can catch up to Johnny Rapp and Rye Jones. Scott picking up a little bit more speed, looking to see if he reclaimed some of these spots he left. So that Scott Sobczak fan watching, he's representing well right now, and he's certainly down a couple spots, but he's not out. He's looking to fight. Scott's a fighter. So we'll be keeping an eye on that 81 car the rest of the night. So you see Johnny Rapp fan out a little bit. And this is quite the battle going down the front stretch right now, Chris. 3 drivers. You could throw a blanket on top of these guys as they head down into turn 1. We mentioned this being a heavy braking zone. Johnny Rapp really fast through there, carries a lot of speed through the center of that corner and out as they head down now into kind of a downhill run. Then it goes right back uphill into this right-hander in turn 3, where Johnny might have another opportunity to gain a little bit of time off the corner. But Scott's going to pull right back up to that 52. And he made up a little bit of time that time on entry at least.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing from Scott that he's doing is he's taking a very, very wide entry. He's using up that rumble strip, that red and white rumble strip, and then some of the green on the on corner entry, which you can do here. That's totally fine to do. Trying to, arc it out as much as you can and then dive to get, hit the apex with as wide of a as wide of a turn as he can. So just, on a road course, you're going to see different approaches. You're going to see different mentalities as the battle for third is also getting really, really hot and heavy right now as Chris Pierce, who just looking at the lap times, he has, sort of fallen off the pace of Aaron Smith and Randy Bechtel.
Look at that. Chase Berry draws right back up to Nick DeCesare. We got a 3-car battle for third place here. Yeah, and,
I'll be curious to see if, Nick is going to pull to the inside here, and I think he's just going to let Chase go. I think that he's
definitely. I saw the chat pop up on my end, so I think Nick said go ahead, Chase, on that front straightaway. So
man, Chase has such really good forward bite. You can see it right there. He really, really gapped Nick on corner exit, and that just shows that his rear tires are probably in really good shape right now. He's able to get that throttle down and get it down a little bit quicker than everybody else around him.
Yeah, Chase is a guy that we know is really good at holding on to his stuff. And we've seen that now paying dividends early on. Chase up 9 positions just in 11 laps here at the Red Bull Ring. We are on lap 11 out of 37, almost a third of the way through this race.
Sorry about that, Chase. Really, really loose right there. As you can see the effects of these worn out tires.
Oh yeah, no, these guys are slip and slide. I'm watching Chris Pierce right in front of him doing the exact same thing. I think I've seen every driver on the track tonight feel like those rear 2 tires were just kind of leaned out a little bit, where they probably couldn't feel much of the road at that point. So we do have Aaron Smith in the lead, Randy Bechtel in second, Chris Pierce in third, with Chase Berry chasing Chris Pierce down in third position right now. We'll hang on this battle for maybe just another. It might be a good opportunity right now to potentially step away for a quick break and hear from our partners at Sim Racing Tech before we maybe start seeing pit stops here shortly.
We'll do it.
All right, we are back at the Red Bull Ring, and right now you are watching Monty Sprague, who just had an off-track
Scott Sobczak.
Scott Sobczak as well off track, it looked like. Yep, Scott having some issues. Several drivers, several things all happening at once here. the nature of a road course. When it rains, it pours. But Scott, you can see, just got a little bit into. Looked like Rye Jones in that 7 struggled. Scott kind of closed the gap maybe faster than they thought he was going to have to, and not sure if he had to jerk the wheel or not. But Scott Sobczak had some issues, and it looks like we got Johnny Rapp on pit road right now, Chris. And this is Johnny might have been having some issues. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to go watch the replay. I think this was a normal pit road stop.
He's been in the box for a long time here, so I'm not sure. Not sure what might have happened, but he is. Yeah,
he's off pit road right
rolling now. Yeah, but he's in the box for a long time. I don't know what happened.
55-second stop. That's yeah. I was gonna say maybe Johnny was gonna go for the 3-stop race, but I don't think so. He must have had some issues. I went back and looked at the replay. I didn't see anything. But right now, the guy who is not having any issues is Aaron Smith. He is your leader. And Randy Bechtel is not even in the same zip code right now. Having a strong run, Randy is in second place, but he is nearly 14 seconds back from Aaron Smith right now. Chris Pierce having a really good showing tonight. As we watch this battle for third right now, we just had a pass for third place. Chase Berry makes the pass on Chris Pierce. Chris Pierce going to fight back right up to that back bumper of Chase Berry here for the third position, but Chase Berry is going to take it. Chris, that 5 car is, man, it's lightning in a bottle tonight. He is up 10 positions. Chase Berry, the Florida driver.
We're going back to look at Johnny Rapp. Johnny coming out of the pits on those tires. Ran off track here. I'm not sure if something happened to Johnny. Be interested to see. Go back and talk to him after the race if what it might have happened. I think Chris Blassie in the 15 might have had some trouble as well here.
Yeah, right in front of, I know he just got lapped by the 5 car of Chase Berry. I'm not sure if that trouble happened before or after that.
He might have been just trying to stay out the way. It's a good job by him.
Yeah, several drivers dragging some tires into the sand tonight. Not the beach vacation they were hoping for, maybe. Nick DeCesare, let's check in with him in the 5th position right now. He is drawing up back behind the 4th place car of Chris Pierce. DeCesare, we know, is not a normal Cup Series racer. He normally runs with us in the Truck Series, but he has come to make a name for himself in his road racing skills, and he's showing those off tonight in this 23 car, having a great 5th place run tonight. One of those guys who's just very low-key, but gets the job done kind of quietly. Rye Jones right behind him in 6th place. Scott Sobczak in 7th. Austin Greer in 8th. And we got a battle on the front stretch right now between Tony Hilbrans and Brady Powers. This is one we're going to be keeping an eye on. These guys have they've seen each other plenty tonight. So we'll see it. Tony and Brady might have differing viewpoints on what happened earlier on lap 1 of the race. And I know Brady had gotten away from Tony, but Tony's drawn back up with that 22 machine. And I wouldn't put it past Tony to use a little bit of the bumper there. He's going to try to take a different line in this corner as he got really close there. If I'm Brady Powers, I'm really nervous in this situation. Whether I think I was the cause of that earlier wreck or not, I know that Tony's probably not happy one way or the other. So I'm definitely driving a very defensive line if I'm Brady as they head down into these tight right-handers.
In that deal earlier, you know, Tony didn't spin, luckily. I think Tony had a separate incident. Brady was the one that came out, you know, on the short end of the 6. He got spun around and got damaged to his nose. So, yeah, I'm sure those guys disagree on the cause of it. But, you know, as we got a battle going on for 6th spot after many laps of trying, it's like 16 laps of trying, 16 laps of frustration. Scott Sobczak is finally going to get around Rye Jones.
Rye's going to get the run off the corner. The 81 struggled just a little bit back on the front straightaway, and they're going to take it down into this heavy, hard-braking right-hander in 1. We've seen Rye be successful at these corners all night, but he's not going to have the speed that Sobczak was able to carry there. I'm looking at these lap times right now, and again, shockingly, no one's in the same zip code as Aaron Smith, but these guys, second, third, chasing Randy are running pretty close laps, and then it's really close once you get into 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, and you know, said it'd take a lot of laps for Sobzak to get around Jones. I don't think that there's a ton of difference between the speed in them. I think that they're actually really, really close on speed. I think that, that has kind of kept this battle really, really close all night. So, Rye's done a good job of holding him off, and Scott's done a really good job of being patient. But, yeah, it looks like everybody from about Chris Pierce on back in this range right here, they're really, really close on speed. You got Pierce at a 142, DeCesare at a 143, Sobzak at a 145, and then Jones at a 149. So everybody right there within about 0.7 of a second. That's a track as big as this one. That's impressive.
Yeah, it really is. That's something we were noticing in practice as well. A lot of these guys, there was kind of a fight for second. We see Chris Pierce go off the track here. Nick DeCesare going to take advantage of that, slip into the 4th place. Nick, after starting in the 3rd slot, is working his way back up to that original starting spot as he heads down the front stretch, gaining the advantage on Chris Pierce in that 25. These guys, we're on lap 17. We mentioned there are no cautions. There are no breaks. These guys mentally fatigued, probably a little bit of tiredness setting in right now. Physically, this track is 10 corners, right-handers, left-handers. These cars are, as we mentioned, a handful to drive. So I believe we're going to have Aaron Smith maybe coming in this lap. I think I might have seen him call a pit stop. But these guys, they're really wheeling it around here.
Yeah.
And there is that's a lot of effort that's being put in by these slingshot drivers tonight. So whether it's Aaron Smith up front in 1st place or, Chris Blassie in 13th, all of these guys are doing a really yeoman's work tonight out here
Chris
in
Pierce.
the Red Bull Ring.
Chris Pierce had a little bit of trouble.
He's having trouble turning it around.
Yeah. He tried to correct it. He tried to catch the slide, and it overcorrected. Honestly, it probably worked out better for him that way. Oh, that's not worked out well. Okay, he's got it going here. Yeah, there are no rear tires left on that car at all. He's going to be really, really looking forward to this pit stop here. I think that Chris Blassie has also possibly had a little bit of trouble, but I think he's gotten it righted and he has gotten away. But, yeah, I think that one person that'll be happy for a pit stop is at number 25 of Chris Pierce. I just think that he has used up all that is in those tires right now, and going to be looking to get on the pit road and get 4 fresh shoes on that bad boy.
Yeah, and we had talked about earlier noticing a lot of cars
He's coming.
kind of sliding around in those corners as Chris Pierce is looking to get his fresh set. I believe he's going to be the first car headed down pit road, if my stats are correct. And I can see a couple cars go by on the front straightaway. Brady Powers and Austin Greer, as well as Tony Hilbrens. It's a long drive down pit road at such a slow speed, but it doesn't even matter for Chris Pierce at this point. He is desperate to get those tires on for the second half of this race. We're on lap 18 of 37 in the Sim Racing Tech Grand Prix of Austria. Right now, Aaron Smith is your leader. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined by Chris Smith in the booth. And these drivers, as we mentioned, they've been doing a great job tonight. This is a hard track, a hard car. We see that 25 car, maybe a guy we've seen around the track a couple of times, finally come to get some fresh tires. He's going to be feeling really good as he pulls off pit road and rejoins the race. And we'll see what that does to drivers like Aaron Smith and Randy Bechtel in terms of whether or not I think Chris was far enough back where it's not going to force their hand immediately.
Yeah.
But we're into that territory where we're probably 2 laps away from a pit stop for fuel, where these drivers will be forced to come and get fuel, and anything can happen. Coming down pit road, we could run into some issues. I don't think we're going to see anyone try the 2-stopper tonight, which I thought might be an interesting strategy call, but we're halfway through this race on lap 19 of 37. Just looking through the field, a couple guys I'm watching right now. Lee Campbell, sitting in 7th. He had some trouble early on in the race. He's done a good job of recovering to kind of pull a race back together, sitting in 11th place. 1 lap down, Lee Campbell, that Sonic the Hedgehog car, as we watch Rye Jones come down pit road here. A couple more takers looking for those fresh tires. There's Lee Campbell. We watch him right now. Coming through the corner, lots of action going on the track right now. I think you're going to have a lot of cars coming to pit road. Tony Hilbrins is going to be on pit road. We mentioned Rye Jones being on pit road earlier. This is probably going to bring a handful more cars down this lap as the battle for fourth.
This is really heated up between these two.
Desiree and Scott Sobczak. Sobczak really doing a good job of clawing his way back through the field after some early drops in the first 10 laps or so. Scott Sobczak, easy for me to say, has really turned up the wick a little bit as he closes into that fourth position. Draws even with that back bumper through that long sweeping corner. Sobczak wanted to get by that 23, doesn't want to be outdone by a fellow road course ringer. He's going to make the pass down here into this right-hander.
Yeah, nice pass.
Yeah, Scott's going to pull into the fourth positions. We see it looks like maybe Chase Berry coming down pit road to take his 4 tires. Chase Berry, arguably one of the fastest cars on the track after Aaron Smith. So this is going to be a pit stop we keep an eye on how quickly Chase can get down pit road. And if he's able to pick up any time on Aaron Smith here with maybe a couple laps fresher of tires. Aaron Smith still in the lead. We're waiting for him to pit. We are on lap 20, so these guys are due right now. I'm looking at about 5 to 6 cars have made their pit stop, but we've got several guys sticking out, including Smith, Bechtel, Sobczak, DeCesare, Brady Powers, also one of those guys who has stayed out. Chase Berry going to rejoin on the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, this battle right here went back and forth a while there as, people were making pit stops. Sobczak and DeCesare. Sobczak has really turned up the wick here in these last few laps. I think he was somebody who was really looking after his tires earlier, and he's decided that he's going to step it up as Austin Greer exits the pit road in that Dale Jr. throwback. We've got several guys that are, Chase Berry has made his pit stop. It looks like our leader, Aaron Smith, is on the pit lane as well. I think that, everybody went a little bit longer here. They went, the 21 laps. A lot of guys did. Randy Bechtel is still out here. Oh, no, he's actually coming in this time.
Yep, Randy's coming in this time as well.
Yeah, you want to have your tires. That was a long stint right there. Okay, so this is obviously a 2-stint race, 1 stop. You want your long stint to be the first one. You want to have, the best tires that you can have on that car for this stint here. You want to try to make the most of it. Chris Pierce came in a little bit early, but I think that was a good move on his part because his tires were shot and he was having a hard time holding on to his car.
I'm still watching this 25 of Chris Pierce wheeling his way around the track, and he is still looking loose. We're probably going to see an equally as burdensome situation for that 25 later on in the race. He's just driving a loose race car right now. I don't know if he's got a lot of bias dialed into that car right now, but still struggling a little bit out there as we watch Aaron Smith retake the lead, followed by Randy Bechtel, Chase Berry, Scott Sobczak, Nick DeCesare. Looks like Scott Sobczak is making his pit stop or peeling off of pit road right now as he rejoins the fight in 4th place in that 81 Square D Ford Taurus. Brady Powers on pit road as well.
Yeah, going to give a call to Brady. He's doing a nice job since that early incident.
Yeah, he has done a nice job. Recovered well from that lap 1 incident. Brady, a great driver. I find myself around Brady on the track frequently. We never usually crash each other, but for some reason we are always out there together. I expect probably will be the same case tomorrow night at Watkins Glen as the Truck Series also takes on some right-handers at 8:30 tomorrow, Wednesday night. I'll probably see Brady out there on the track just a little bit as he's going to have to deal with Chris Blassie here in this 15 car. Watching, looks like we got the camera on Chase Berry right now in 3rd position. He's up 10 spots on the night. He is 32 seconds behind Aaron Smith. And right now, we're talking about managing the race for Aaron Smith. I think you just got to take care of the car. No one is running lap times within the same second, really. Towards the end of the run, we saw Chase Berry.
I think that Randy Bechtel, our 2nd place car, had a little bit of trouble here. He locked him up. I think that's a little bit of, rear brake. And does a nice job of catching it, though. Really nice job. And gets it going, gets it righted. Doesn't lose a ton of time. And keeps on rolling.
Never fully spun it.
No.
So good job to Randy
now,
on that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, that was a great job by Randy. What that's done, though, is it's created a possible battle for second. It was going to be hard, I think, for Chase to run Randy down. He was about 12, 13 seconds behind earlier last time I saw it, and now the gap is much tighter now. It's just about a 2.5 second gap between Bechtel and Barry, so we'll see if Chase can make any ground up on his payday teammate.
Well, yeah, but you also got to consider what that spin did to those tires. Whether or not there are any flat spots or maybe just a little bit more wear. We're going to maybe see that come into play later on as we cross over on lap 22 of 37. Just about 15 laps remaining in this race, Chris. And as we mentioned, it's a race that Aaron Smith at this point is just trying to manage and bring home without any incident. But this battle for seconds, you mentioned Randy, Bechtel, and Chase Berry heating up quite nicely. We might see it get even tighter here over the next several laps. Scott Sobczak, great job. Call out for Scott here. I know we've got some Scotty viewers in the chat right now. Scott's got like a posse that rolls with him in these races.
He does.
Shout out to them for tuning in. But Scott having a really good run. Started 6th, dropped back I think as low as 8th tonight. He is back up to 4th place. He has made his pit stop and he's rolling right along. So the typical Scott that we're used to seeing, we didn't see him qualifying, but we're seeing that during the race. So great run for Scott. And fun fact about Scott, he's got an exact replica in real life of this 81 car that I'm pretty sure he takes out to track days at places like Sonoma out in California. So
yeah, and if you are a NASCAR fan, if you're a historic NASCAR fan, you know this car as the number 81 Square D Ford that Kenny Wallace drove in the 1998 NASCAR Winston Cup season before this team eventually got sold to Andy Petrie and became the 55. So this car's got a lot of history behind it.
And we got like a Kenny Wallace theme going on tonight. We've got that 23 Stacker 2 car driven by Nick DeCesare as well. That was a car driven by Kenny Wallace. I think that was in probably 2002 or 2003.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not sure of the exact year.
Ellis, do you have a Kenny Wallace laugh?
No, you don't want me to do that.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it either.
I don't want to break the mic or run any viewers off, but yeah, Kenny Wallace, notorious laugh. I would say I don't know if I'd call it a squeal, but definitely
it's an iconic laugh.
An iconic laugh, as iconic as nails on a chalkboard. So,
yeah, that's right.
So right now, just looking through the top 10, we've gone through the top 5. Nick DeCesare in 5th place. Ryan Jones in 6th place, kind of running his own race. Chris Pierce, several seconds behind Rye in 7th place. Tony Hilbrun's, we mentioned, good recovery from Tony. We saw Tony running some issues early on the first couple laps of the race. He has fought back to 8th. Tony, we said, does a great job broadcasting our Truck Series races on Wednesday nights. He's had a lot of speed, and I wouldn't say he's had that speed tonight that we've seen from him on the ovals the rest of the season, but he's just having trouble putting together a complete race. I think it's a matter of time, probably before Tony is able to do that. I think it's going to happen this season, despite kind of the dominance we're seeing from Aaron Smith. I think Tony probably has a win in him before this season is done based on the speed that we've seen from him. So he's going to continue to grind it out, and his teammate's Aaron Smith as well. So I'd imagine it never hurts to have a teammate like Aaron Smith. Probably get some good tips and pointers, as I'm sure has helped a little bit as the season has gone on. That's kind of how I feel about you, Chris, on Wednesday nights. Good teammate makes me a little bit better each week. So even if it's just one little tip or something like that, it's good to have teammates.
Yeah, they come in handy at Talladega, right?
Yeah, they come in very handy.
I wish I would have had one at the end.
Right.
Yeah, no, it does pay to have teammates, just to bounce ideas off of, even to talk yourself off the ledge every once in a while.
Yeah, we've never had to do that for each other, though.
You know what would be a really good time, a good idea right now while we got a little bit of stretch right here where we got some separation in the cars? Let's go on board with Aaron Smith down here to turn 4. You can see this downhill right here, how hard this is. It's so hard to put into words how difficult this is. Going downhill where you're gaining speed, just by physics, you're gaining speed, and you have to use a little bit more brake than you've been using. this turn 6 and 7 complex right here, you want to try to get as close as you can to that curb. Come out here, but don't run off into that sand out there. Turn 7 right here, try to hug that again. They're very similar corners, but they're left-hand corners. There's very, few of them on the track. That's the only two. Come out next right there, close to the grass. Hard on the brakes right here. This is a deceiving corner right here. You got to be harder on the brakes than you think. Coming up to the final corner here, turn 10, go wide, clip that apex right there, come out nicely. And down this front stretch here, this is a long front stretch, really fast. And you can see how uphill it is, the elevation change. Get on the brakes right here, about where you see the curb start. Get out wide, try to clip that apex as well. And go out as wide as you can right there on corner exit. Let your momentum carry you. This is a long straightaway here.
Yeah, you made it seem so easy on that play-by-play by that lap, but oh man, going that downhill just makes me nervous just watching it.
We're coming up on it again right here, and you can see just how difficult it is to manage.
And hey, right now, difficult to manage has not been the gap between Chase Berry and Randy Bechtel. Chase has cut into Randy's lead for second place just a little bit, as Chase has to clear the 14 car of Lee Campbell, giving him some difficulty. I don't think he really caught Lee at the place he would have preferred to catch him, as he has to take kind of the long way around the track to avoid contact with Lee. But again, Lee's running his. Just an unfortunate place for Chase to catch Lee. That's going to definitely hamper his ability to maybe catch the 18 car for second place. But still, Chase, good night going. He's up 10 positions in the third spot after starting way in the back and the next to last starting spot. So good for Chase. Chris Blassie, shout out to Chris. We know he had had a couple incidents off tracks throughout the race, but after starting last, he's just kind of quietly marching around. I'm watching him turn some laps, and he's not running times as fast as the leaders, but he's out there just getting the job done. And I think sometimes that's what you have to do at road courses, or maybe tracks that you're just not as familiar with, is you have to just be willing to accept the fact I'm not going to be as fast as the guy out front, but you know what? I'm going to commit myself to learning the track. I'm going to commit myself to having a clean run and getting better each and every lap, and that's what we've seen Chris do as we see him go down the front stretch into turn 1 and have a pretty good corner.
Yeah, he did, and we've got one of our drivers in the chat, Johnny Rapp, saying everything is great. We'll go back and see if we can figure out what happened to Johnny here on lap 20. We might have missed it in everything else that's been going on here. On lap 20 right here. Looks like Johnny had a little bit of trouble and went a little bit wide. But he did a nice job of keeping it straight right there. The incident ticker picked that up, but he kept on going right there. I know that we know Johnny had an extended stay on pit road, and I think that he might have parked it for the night.
Yeah, if you're in the chat, let us know. Is it were you just over it, or did something go wrong in the car? I would be curious to know what happened to you out there, other than that off track. So. Always good to hear from the drivers. Not always good to hear from them when they're out of the race, but we appreciate them watching nonetheless.
Yeah,
right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going to mention, Chase Berry. We saw him. He was inching a little bit closer to Randy Bechtel. But that situation happened with Lee Campbell, and that cost Chase about 3 seconds, at least 3 seconds. And everything that he gained, he lost, and we'll have to see right now. We're going to try to keep an eye on the laps here, see if he can try to mount another charge. Randy's also running really fast laps, so this is going to be tough sledding right here for Chase if he's going to try to make a charge here for second spot.
Yeah, I think that definitely took away any momentum that 5 car had, and like you said, it cost him at least 3 seconds. We're going to see where these lap times compare. Chase kind of had a clean lap there, it looked like. That lap, Randy had a 1:36.9. Chase had a 1:37.3. So not as far off the pace that time, but still he's losing time to Randy Bechtel, whereas before that pass of the 14 car, he was actually clawing into Randy Bechtel's gap just a little bit, as we Look at that 18 car. Different paint scheme this week for Randy Bechtel. Mixing up a little bit. Went from that Interstate Batteries green to the DeWalt black and yellow car. And I mentioned to you, Chris, earlier before the broadcast started, I just wondered if Randy was trying to mix it up a little bit, maybe put a little yellow in his scheme, see if he could pick up some of the Aaron Smith juju and speed that we've seen out of that one car all season long. And hey, right now, I'm not convinced that it's not working.
Yeah,
I know,
he's fast.
No, he's running second. He's not in the lead as we see Chase Berry really get squirrely off one of these corners. But I think whatever paint scheme changes Randy made, maybe picked up a little bit of speed. So as we see him run second right now.
Yeah, Randy's always fast on road courses. This is not a surprise at all to see him running as fast as he is tonight. He always gets around these tracks really well. And he's stayed out of trouble all day. We saw him with a little bit of a rear tire lockup on corner entry early into this second stint here, but other than that, it's been really smooth for him, and he's been really fast.
Absolutely. Hey, we do have an answer on what happened to the 52 of Johnny Rapp. He says 3x pit penalties. He's going to try his best to not get penalized while watching. I think that's probably a good idea. So Johnny having some pit road issues, it looked like, just decided to go ahead and park it. I get that. We've all been in that situation where just not even worth it at that point. Not worth the frustration driving that thing around. So I hate to see it for Johnny and that 52 crew, but I know he'll be back next week and be even stronger as we head back to the ovals. I'm not sure where we are next week. I have to look at the schedule real quick, but pull that up real quick.
Yeah, and in the aftermath of Chase getting a little bit squirrely there on corner exit about a lap ago, Scott Sobczak has reeled in the third place guys. So with just 9 laps to go, now 8 laps to go as we click over, this is the battle for the final step on the podium, as Sobczak has put together some nice laps here in the second stint. Scott didn't have the outright speed in qualifying or at the beginning of the race, but I think he's driven a really nice race tonight. He has managed his tires, managed his long run speed, and he is closing in on the back bumper of this number 5 Payday Toyota.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This feels a lot more like the Scott Sobczak we saw in the Truck Series race at Indianapolis, where he was able to put together a complete race, and we are seeing Scott really gain on that 5 car right now. So again, maybe this car feels more at home to Scott. I know we heard from him in practice he was struggling a little bit, but certainly over the course of the long run, we've seen him really have some speed tonight. So that would be something, Chris, to keep an eye on. And here's something I will say: next week we head to Milwaukee in these Cup cars, and Aaron Smith had two weeks circled on his calendar that he was not looking forward to, and guess what one of those was? Milwaukee. So we're going to see maybe an opening. Not that any guy can't win any week, but next week is admittedly one of Aaron Smith's least favorite tracks, and one he finds himself to be least proficient on. So as we continue to watch this battle heat up for third place between Berry and Sobczak, next week we'll be watching to see maybe who is able to take advantage of some of those weaknesses Aaron Smith might have at the Milwaukee Mile. That kind of paperclip short track. I know that's one of your favorite tracks, Chris. You won't be racing in it, but I'm sure you're looking forward to calling it.
I'm really bummed out not going to be in the field. I always love racing at Milwaukee. A lot of people don't like racing there, and I get why. It's a 1 mile, basically flat track. It's got some long straightaways that's shaped like a paperclip, like you said. And it's like a bigger version of Martinsville in a way. It's a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed racing there. And you get a chance to really, especially with these higher horsepower cars, you're going to see some, you're going to have to see some technical driving out of these guys next week. And so looking forward to watching them. I was going to say, we were mentioning Scott Sobczak's long run speed, and I'm not a bit surprised to see it because you brought up that race at Indianapolis, and I was behind.
Man, they just came up on this lap car, Chris Black in the 15, and that was almost.
It was.
Chase Berry, having trouble with another lap car. I know that looks like Chase is going to get the better end of that exchange, with Scott losing just a little bit of time. But sorry to interrupt there. It just was a
you're
close
good.
Call.
Yeah, I was going to mention, Scott. I was behind Scott for most of that race. In second spot, he dominated the entire race. And I could keep up with Scott for a while at the beginning of the run, but he put a butt whooping on me the last half of the run, of the tire run. He was really, really good at that during that race.
Heat up those tires in that corner a little smoke coming off those
Yeah.
tires. He's starting to struggle a little bit. Hey, just referencing back what we were talking about with Aaron Smith in Milwaukee, claiming it was one of his weaker tracks. Johnny Rapp says in the chat, don't believe him.
Don't believe him.
Don't believe him.
Yeah.
It's a trap. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll
that
see.
race is going to be 1 week from tonight, 8:30, same time on our Twitch channel and YouTube channel. It's looking like Aaron Smith in that number 1 car is headed to another number 1 finish tonight, looking for a win, just about 5 laps away from that in the Sim Racing Tech Grand Prix of Austria, as we watch that number 1 yellow car make his way around the track, followed by Randy Bechtel and Chase Berry. And it's this battle for 4th that we're keenly interested in right now between Berry and Sobzak. It's really the closest one on the track. We've seen Scott, as we've been mentioning, picking up some speed, but that gap is widened just a little bit. But it looks like Chase might have had a little bit of trouble going into that corner there.
Yeah, it looks like Sobzak has closed it in a little bit more. I think Chase got his act together on the lap before. I know that he had a little bit of trouble getting around the lap traffic, but Scott is reeling him in a little bit on this lap. I think he's gained about 3/10 on him so far this lap, so we'll see over the course of these next few laps if Sobzak can make up any more ground. Looks like Chase got off that corner much better than Scott did, and is going to gap him now. Here we are in this downhill corner, my nemesis. Sobzak got through the braking zone really well. You could see those rotors light up right there. He was hard on the brakes. That's the corner that's probably the hardest on the brakes out of all of them. And he was able to get through there a little bit better than Chase. Chase is getting off the corners. One thing I've noticed about Chase all night is that he's really been able to get off the corners really nicely. He's looked like he's had a lot more forward bite than some of these guys. But Scott's not. He's keeping him honest. He is not letting him get away, and he has closed up on him on this lap here.
Absolutely. It's just kind of a back and forth of who's running these fastest sectors between the 5 car and the 81. Johnny Rapp again. He says he's rooting for Scott in this battle, rooting against his own teammate. Chase Berry having a little bit of trouble off that corner, loose off the final turn 10. As they head down into 1, we'll see what kind of impact that has. Look at Scott draw back up. Man, Berry way harder on the brakes than I think Sobzak in that 81 expected him to be. I think we all held our breath there for a second. My gosh.
I'll go back and look at this from Chase Berry's rear bumper so you can see objects.
I can't handle it.
Objects in their mirror maybe closer than they appear. Oh, but Scott's a heads-up driver. He knew that he had that area right there, that runoff area, and he utilized that. He made sure that he didn't run over Chase Berry there.
Yeah, that was heads-up driving by Scott, kind of preventing an issue that would have not only taken him out, but taken the 3rd place car out. So good eyes on him. Nick DeCesare sitting right behind those guys in 5th place, having a stout run. This is his first Cup Series start of the season. Might be his only. We know Nick is a big fan of the road courses. He wanted to test this Gen 4 high horsepower Cup car out on these road courses, and I'd say he's done a pretty good admiral job tonight in that 23 car.
Yeah, he's done a nice job, and been really smooth and steady all night, as he typically is. And I'd say he's one to watch tomorrow night in the Apex Energy Truck Series at Watkins Glen. I think that he might be one to could sneak up there, and I wouldn't say even steal the show. I think that he, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he got up there and contended for the win.
Absolutely. Him and his teammate Matt Kuntz as well, I think, is a guy to keep an eye on tomorrow night. So if you're interested in watching that race, there'll be a few more vehicles in that race. I think we'll probably have at least 25, maybe even 30 drivers out there tomorrow night, 8:30 on our Twitch channel, Slingshot Racing Apex Energy Truck Series, starting at 8:30 tomorrow night. So lap 34 out of 37, just a few laps left to tick away here right now tonight it's been all Aaron Smith in that number 1 yellow car. He's continuing his string of dominant runs this season. He is looking to take home his 6th victory of the season. Picking up right where he left off before the All-Star break, Chris. I don't really know if anyone can stop Aaron with the speed he's shown in these cars, and I don't know if these high horsepowers are going to make him even stronger than he was before.
Yeah, it just seems like nothing can stop him. It just seems like he's untouchable almost this season. But yeah, I think that next week at Milwaukee, I think that he has been, pretty open and honest about some of these flatter tracks. Maybe don't suit his driving style. Some of the flatter ovals don't suit his driving style like maybe it does others. So I think that next week will probably be his toughest test of the season. As Johnny said, don't believe him though in the chat. It could be a situation where he could still come out with a dominating victory again next week. Who knows?
Yeah, it's anyone's guess as to what's going to happen in Milwaukee. But hey, speaking of anybody's guess, this battle for 3rd place, it won't go away, Chris.
Oh my gosh, Austin Greer had a nice save right there off that corner. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, you're good. Chase Berry and Scott Sopzak still right neck and neck. Scott had gotten within a couple car lengths to the 5. He's lost a little bit of that since about a half a lap ago. But these two guys, I don't think they're willing to settle it this way. With just 3 laps left in this race. This battle going on for 3rd place between Chase Berry and Scott Sopzak. Chase, Florida driver, Scott Sopzak on the other side of the country in California, but they're trying to come together here for 3rd place at the Red Bull Ring. So,
and one thing that I was going to mention, you see Sopzak's car twitching a little bit under braking on corner entry, and you see Berry's car twitching a little bit on corner exit. Trying to put the throttle down. Oh, he does it again right there.
Look how loose he is there.
Yeah. They're not doing that on purpose, y'all. They're pushing. They're not going sideways on purpose. That's just they know that there's just 2 laps to go, and they want that final step on the podium.
Absolutely. You see Scott Sopzak really gain a lot of time through that set of corners, that complex there with those sweeping corners as they head down into turn number 10, the final corner. Man, that was close. Sopzak got right up to the back bumper of that 5 car of Chase Berry. We also watching Aaron Smith, our leader, 40-second lead. Not really much to worry about. I think he could probably spin it around at least once or twice and not have much to worry about. But right now our eyes are on that battle for 3rd place between Chase Berry, really loose off that corner, followed by Scott Sopzak. We're going to see how they're going to settle this amongst themselves for the 3rd position. Everything is pretty much stationary outside of that battle right now. Rye Jones, 6th. Chris Pierce having a good run in 7th after some issues earlier in the race. Tony Hilbrand's throwing together a nice rebound after a lap 1 incident. Brady Powers also involved in that incident, sitting in 9th. Austin Greer having a pretty quiet run. We saw him have some issues just a lap or so ago, but sitting in 10th place. Not known for his road course racing, but he's done an admirable job tonight. Lee Campbell taking that Sonic car around the track tonight, collecting those gold coins, but unfortunately he's not going to collect enough to get a top 10. He's going to be sitting in 11th. Sprague in 12th. Chris Blassie in 3rd, and Johnny Rapp in last. Sorry, Johnny, I know you're probably watching right now. And these guys are on their final lap. The white flag is out. Sopzak and Berry neck and neck halfway around the track right now. Aaron Smith making his way around the lap car of Tony Hilbrand's, but all is clear on his end as this battle for 4th place. That is the place we are watching on track right now.
And these guys are actually coming to the white flag here. They are now going to take the white flag. So there's a whole nother lap in this battle for 3rd.
Hard to believe that's how far Aaron Smith is ahead in that sponsorless yellow number 1 car as he's getting ready to make his way around the final few corners of the Red Bull Ring, getting ready to claim his 6th win of the season. He's not got a single challenger around him outside of that lap car of Tony Hilbrand's. We've spoken about the dominance Aaron has had this season. He's going to continue that tonight And it looks like Chase Berry's going to get the better of this battle for third place as things have settled down there just a little bit. Aaron Smith getting ready to come into the final corner at the Red Bull Ring. He drank his Apex Energy before he started the race tonight for sure. Up by 40 seconds. Aaron Smith is going to claim his 6th win of the season in the Sim Racing Tech Grand Prix of Austria. Randy Bechtel getting ready to bring it home second, but he is not even ready to cross the line yet, Chris. That is how dominant Aaron Smith was in that yellow #1 car, that South Carolina driver from Hollywood, South Carolina, earning that nickname tonight, putting on quite the show. Chase Berry.
And I was going to say, I think Sobzak ran into some trouble. I think that he tried to make up some ground there, and we'll go back and look at it once everybody's crossed the line here.
Yeah, I think he ran into the sand trap. I think that was down in maybe 4 potentially. But right now, Aaron Smith is your winner. We're waiting for some other cars to cross the line.
Randy
right
Bechtel
now.
just crossed in second.
Great second place finish. Randy driving that yellow car tonight. Maybe added a little bit of speed. Chase Berry going to cross the line in third. Scott Sobzak getting ready to cross in 4th place. Great comeback. Scott dropped a few positions earlier in the race, but ended up gaining 2 spots on his starting spot as he brings it home 4th. Hey, admirable job for Nick DeCesare tonight. First Cup Series star of the year, brings home a top 5. Rye Jones in that 7 car, great finish. Chris Pierce, I know, probably wanted a better finish tonight after starting 5th. He challenged for the lead in the first 5 laps or so. He's going to have to settle for 7th place tonight, but still a respectable run. And then Tony Hilbrun's, followed by Brady Powers, Austin Greer to round out your top 10. We'll go over the rest of the running order here shortly, but we are going to get ready for our post-race interviews with our drivers. We'll be hearing from Chase Berry, Randy Bechtel, and Aaron Smith. We'll get them pulled up into the broadcast booth in just a moment. Chase Berry, this is Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got one.
Wow, that was we saw you battling, having a nice little back and forth with Scott Sobzak there in the final portion of this race. You ended up getting the better of Scott Sobzak, bringing home a top 3 band, but you do not sound excited. Talk to us about, man, you started 13th. You picked up 10 spots. What's got you so bummed out after this 3rd place finish tonight?
I mean, I don't know. I can't really say because broadcasted. I don't want to say. I don't know. I just did not enjoy this car combo, this car track combo. Just, I think what happened to me. I hit something. Broke up. But
Hard to drive?
No, not really hard to drive. It just wouldn't. It's like the car for me. I don't know. I mean, obviously Aaron was hooked up and Randy was hooked up. But like for me, just the way I drive it, like normally on a road course, it didn't fit. Like the car wouldn't react the same every single corner, every single lap. Like if I had this braking point, obviously older tires, you back the corner up. If I back up one time, like sometimes you hit the brake, it'll want to dart to your left and road. Like if it's a right-handed corner, it'll want to spin to the left. If it's a right-handed corner, it'll want to spin to the right. It just I don't know. Just the setup was like really wonky, and I mean, but everybody had to drive it. I mean, so I'm not complaining too much. I just didn't enjoy it. But I mean,
that's fair enough. We've been hearing from drivers all week that I think we're dreading this. Do you think it would have been any, just out of curiosity, you think it would have been any different in the lower horsepower combination?
I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe the tires wouldn't wear as much. I mean, obviously Aaron is still going to be Aaron. Second place. Like, you already knew that coming in. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy this high horsepower more than I do the low horsepower stuff. So, I don't know, it all depends on how it felt. Like I said, it felt unstable. I mean, but good run.
Yeah, no, not a bad run at all. Just a little bit out of control. We saw that from you all night. We saw kind of the rear of the car was not locked down a good portion of the night. that was visible on our end.
Yeah, it was. I felt like I was doing one of them dirt road courses, and That was granted. It was,
Definitely, the Red Bull Ring is not a dirt track.
yeah.
Well, man, you won the All-Star race last week. How did you spend the $70?
I actually did not go to Sebring. I Jeep ended up having a knock in it, so I made the wise choice and didn't go to Sebring, unfortunately. So I ended up making myself a nice steak dinner.
Hey, wow, not a bad way. Not a bad way to spend a Saturday night. Well, congratulations, man. We're headed to Milwaukee next week. Uh, you got a chance there. Aaron Smith says it's one of his worst tracks.
That means he's good. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, it's I don't like really get hopes up like, oh, this is gonna be my shot to win. Nah, I just let it come to me. And I know the guys in the channel are mad at me because the more I complain, the more, excuse my language, the more I bitch, faster I get. So I started complaining and, the other word, female dogging it, like lap 0 from last week. So I had to get a little faster. But I don't know, we'll find out next Tuesday.
Well, that's just what you're known for now. Is you complain about being slow, but you usually end up going fast. So we'll see where you are next week in Milwaukee. Chase Berry, any quick plugs and shout-outs before we let you go?
Yeah, I thank you guys for showing up and broadcasting it. Randy, for helping out a little bit. He helped me kind of calm down and figure this thing out a little bit. Johnny, Ryan, I don't know, whoever else is over there. Chris Hone, Justin Wilson, obviously, whatever. R.I.P. Bucci. That's about it. I mean, you guys put on a good league.
All right, man. We appreciate you. Chase Berry, third place finish tonight. Congratulations. Go and celebrate.
All righty, go drink.
See you, buddy. All right, so we're going to get Chase Berry out of here. Give me just a second. All right, so we heard from Chase Berry. We're going to pull in Randy Bechtel in just a moment. All right, Chris, Randy Bechtel is in the booth.
All right, Randy Bechtel, driver the number 18. This is Slingshot Booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, we're used to seeing you up front. We're used to seeing you, challenging for the win, challenging for podiums here on these road courses. But this one's a little bit different tonight. Talk us through your night and, your experiences. Chase was talking about how unpredictable the car was on under braking, corner entry, and corner exit. Did you experience the same thing tonight?
Yeah, the car to me just had a mind of its own. It wasn't the same each corner, each lap. Even if you got that braking point just right, it was just weird. Yeah, I don't know if you caught the half spinning out right after you pitted. Same thing. Although that wasn't the car, that was the shifter not downshifting. Other than that, I agree. The car was definitely unpredictable in the second half of the track.
Yeah, you mentioned the little half spin. We did catch it. We saw it, and we had wondered if it was a shifting issue or a braking issue. But hey, you did a nice job, corralled it and got going. It didn't lose much time at all, and sort of walked away for second spot there. The second half of the track, there's a couple of left-handers. Was it the left-handers that gave you that sense of instability?
I say more so the right-handers, like the second left right-hander where I half spun.
Yeah.
You take it just slightly too fast in there, it seems like you're sliding. You can just hear the tires just screaming.
Yeah.
I missed my braking so many times there just because of that.
Yeah. What about the downhill turn into turn 4? Was that one that gave a little bit of difficulty all night too?
I only had one issue there. That was early with following Chris, which I think it was the same lap. He spun out right in front of me.
Yeah.
I just kept backing it up before the rumble strips were braking. Helped to get in there perfectly. So.
Well, hey man, it was a nice strategy all night. You made it work. You ran up front all night, nice and smooth, other than that little half spin. But hey, it's a great run for you all night. Any shout outs that you want to give before we let you go?
I want to thank all the payday guys, you guys for broadcasting and running a league, and all the great sponsors for Slingshot.
Well, hey man, we congratulate you and thank you for being here tonight on a great run. That's Randy Bechtel, driver the number 18. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you guys.
All right, Aaron Smith, number one tonight, driver of the number one. Johnny Rapp says that boy could win in a Miata. Aaron Smith, it's Ellis and Chris in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, gotcha.
Man, you got to be sick of hearing from us. Certainly, at least, I don't know. You're probably not sick of winning. We love talking to you, but I think we were watching kind of the Slingshot Discord chat most of this week, and people definitely saw you as a formidable opponent, probably going to have the most speed this week at the Red Bull Ring, and you certainly delivered on that. One of the things we've been hearing, at least from our previous two finishers in second and third place, was that the car was unpredictable. Did you experience that same unpredictable nature, kind of wanting to do different things in the same corner, just different laps?
Yeah, I felt like the tires were kind of making their own decisions over the course of the long run there. Like one lap, I'd go about 6/10 quicker than my last lap, and then the next lap, I'd be a whole second off. So I tried to minimize that to the best of my ability. Tried to keep the lap times as consistent as possible, but couldn't really do it. Like every time I'd cross the line and see that my lap was about a second off, I'd feel like I was doing something wrong, and then I'd do the exact same thing, and I was faster. So I'm not too sure what was up with that, but I'll take that information and see if we can apply it to the rest of the season.
Yeah, so you had a pretty easy night. Were there any, at least from our perspective, you did mention where some laps would be faster than others, tires were kind of unpredictable. Were there any near misses or near mistakes that you made tonight that we didn't catch on camera?
There were a few points where I took like an extra couple seconds to downshift entering a corner and almost missed it and got myself a 1X, but fortunately that never happened. I'd get the car woed down just in time to kind of glance off those yellow curbs on the outside, but yeah, it was relatively clean, and I'm glad I could bring it home with a full car.
Oh, hey, tonight you won, but we know next week we're headed to a track that you are not a fan of. Talk to us a little bit about how you channel. What's kind of the difference in your mind in terms of the way you kind of run a road course race versus an oval race at Milwaukee or any other oval track that we might be headed to? What are some of the biggest differences you're going to have to kind of get back in your head as we head to the oval again?
Well, for a track like Milwaukee, I'd imagine the approach would be quite similar. You'd want to kind of, what's the word, tap dance on the throttle to try to keep the car under you through the flatter corners. And fortunately, this track had, all the corners were flat tonight, so maybe I'll be able to make use of that next week. But as far as Milwaukee goes, I'm not too sure.
Well, hey, you did well tonight, so maybe some of that tap dancing will channel into a solid performance next week. We'll be looking out for you on the track then. But in the meantime, before we let you go, you got any shout-outs you'd like to have tonight?
Yeah, as always, I'd like to thank all the folks at the Slingshot Racing League for putting the show on, y'all for broadcasting, and all the folks for watching. Looking forward to getting back out of Milwaukee next week.
Awesome, Aaron Smith. Congratulations on win number 6 this season. We'll see you next week at Milwaukee. Have a good one, Aaron.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Chris, so we heard from our top 3 drivers there, and we kind of got the story from all 3 of those drivers that these tires felt a little bit unpredictable. On one lap in turn 3, it might do one thing, and then on the very next lap in that same corner, it might want to do something completely different. I don't think we had any idea that was necessarily going on the track while we were watching, but we definitely saw these drivers dancing around, and I think tap dancing was the word that Aaron Smith used, and I think that was a pretty apt description of what we saw tonight out there from every single driver on the track.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And, I heard a lot of people mention the tires, and, I think it might be a situation where, iRacing might need to do some work. This car has been, adapted from what was the old Arca Menards car into a Gen 4 Cup car. And I know that there are some more, there's things in the works to improve this car and to bring it more in line with what a Gen 4 Cup car actually was. And so the tires might be first and foremost. If you listen to the Slingshot Racing podcast, which I hope that everybody that's watching tonight checks it out, if you haven't already, you know what my feelings are on the current state of the tire model on a lot of the NASCAR vehicles. So hopefully this is something that does get improved. I'm not sure because, like I said, I didn't race tonight, so I don't know if that was the number one thing that played into tonight. But hopefully that's something that iRacing can improve as they begin to update this Gen 4 Cup car.
Absolutely. And if you haven't listened to that podcast episode or any of the other episodes, you can certainly check that out at slingshotracing.org. You can also search Slingshot Sim Racing Podcast on any of your favorite podcast platforms, including Google Podcasts, Spotify, as well as most recently, Chris, Apple Podcast as well. So right now we are looking at the session results. We've been through those top three, but you can see Scott Sobczak brought home a great 4th place finish. Nick DeCesare making his first Cup appearance this season. Finished 5th. Rye Jones, great job piecing together a 6th place finish. Chris Pierce, 7th. Tony Hilbrand's 8th. Brady Powers continuing consistent performances in 9th. Austin Greer brought it home in 10th place. Good run, solid run for Austin tonight. Monty Sprague, also really good shout out to Monty. Picked up a couple positions, started 12th. Ended up finishing 11th after some early problems during the first stage of this race. Lee Campbell in 12th, Chris Blassie in 13th, Johnny Rapp having some early race issues, finishing in the 14th spot after starting 9th. We appreciate Johnny and everyone else in the chat tonight on Twitch. And yeah, Chris, I think this race delivered a lot, pretty much everything we expected to see. We saw from this race, drivers slip sliding around. We saw just the different elevation changes causing drivers issues, those high-speed right-handers, those really big braking zones. We saw some great battles on track tonight. Unfortunately, we didn't see any battles for the lead so much, but back in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, and the rest of the field was highly contested for a good portion of the night. So any parting words before we pack it up for the evening?
Just that if you enjoy some of the action that you saw tonight on the road course here in Austria, the Apex Energy Truck Series will be hitting the historic New York road course of Watkins Glen tomorrow night here on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. So make sure you check it out as Ryan O'Hara and Tony Hilbrand bring you all the action from there. Next week, the Apex Energy Cup Series goes to a very different track, as you heard us mention. So we have no shortage of a diverse schedule here in the Cup Series.
Absolutely, and as always, we appreciate all of our partners tonight, especially Sim Racing Tech, as well as always every week Apex Energy. You can use code Slingshot10 to get 10% off any of your orders at apexenergydrink.com. Pierce Graphics, UD Awards. We've got to talk about Aaron Smith is inching closer to the championship and that UD Awards trophy. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that championship race and the implications each win for Aaron Smith has, as well as other drivers. But yeah, I think it was a great night. I think drivers did a great job as we expected. And we'll roll it into Watkins Glen tomorrow night. And till then, everyone have a lovely evening. We'll catch you tomorrow night.